The NFL season is here. We're really excited to get things kicked off and talk about our first week one of NFL picks. We have myself and Mike Smith coming to you with NFL picks today. We're pretty excited about it. Mike, the NFL season is finally here. You should probably be pretty hyped about your Falcons this year. I feel like you got some things to be excited about.
Man, we'll talk a little bit about it here in a bit. I've got such conflicting emotions happening with Atlanta right now. The whole Michael Penix, Kirk Cousins drama. Then you pull Penix and you don't let him play in the preseason because you've seen enough. There's so many ridiculous questions following that team right now, but
yeah,
it's a new era, man. There's a ton of excitement. Hopefully these offensive weapons can actually come to life a little bit now that old man Smith is gone. Revenge game week 1 though, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, I'm excited for some of the games this week. We have some really good ones. We're gonna dive right into picks here. Keep this as simple as possible. It's what the people come for. First, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, X, and wherever you get your podcasts. Download, subscribe, like, all of the positive things. But besides that, we're gonna jump in. Neither of us have a game pick for this game on Thursday night. We do have a player pick, which we'll get to in a little bit. So we're actually going to get kicked off with our picks for the Packers and Eagles, which I think you actually have a pick for. I do not.
Yeah, I'm taking the under on the game at 49. You can get it at minus 108 on DraftKings. The Packers, they didn't play, their starters didn't play a ton in preseason. It was maybe a drive a game. I think they're going to have some kinks to work out just to kind of get back in the game time mentality. On the flip side, kind of the same story with Philly, with Kelsey leaving and all the speculation that's come out and actually been confirmed since then that Kelsey's making all the pre-snap coverages last year and calling all that from the line. Hurts hasn't had a ton of time doing that in the NFL yet. He's saying that it hindered his growing ability. So I think there's going to be some kinks to work out. Josh Jacobs coming in, or sorry, that's the wrong team. He came in with the Packers. Saquon coming in. They'll get it going eventually. I just don't think it's going to be a heavy start, 2 touchdown first half for both teams kind of thing. It's interesting. The Packers last year they averaged 10 points per half, or 10 points per game in the first half. So you could take a little first half bet there if you want to, but I wouldn't be surprised if they hit 14 coming out. But I think all in all, slower game, getting 49, I think is going to be challenging just for the fact that it's week 1.
Yeah, and no one wants to be in Brazil. Like they keep coming out with quotes about how no one wants to be here because they're not allowed to go out of their hotel rooms because it's apparently a dangerous place.
Yeah.
So and no one wants to be there. I wouldn't want to go somewhere for a week where you have to be in your hotel or at practice. Like they don't get to experience it. No one wants to be there. They're just going to play this game and go home. I like the under options. I'm going to jump us around a little bit. I'm going to move us over to the Titans and Bears. I'm going to take under 45. Caleb Williams is, man, I watched Hard Knocks and I watched some of his preseason, and I really feel like people are cherry picking, showing how good they think he is already. And I don't think he is at all, actually. I think he's going to have some pretty big growing pains. And I think he's going to have a pretty rough first season. I thought coming in, I was like, man, the Bears automatically are going to be good. But after watching Hard Knocks and the Bears preseason games, I'm like, no, man, this isn't going to happen. So give me the Bears and Titans under 45 because these are essentially 2 defensive teams still at this point. The Titans, Stephon, if you were here, would appreciate my I don't have a hatred for Will Levis, but, they don't have an amazing quarterback. Their offense isn't exactly beaming with offensive talent.
Yeah.
Against the Bears, who are going to have a struggling rookie. So give me the under 45 here. I just don't see this being a high-scoring game.
Man, I love this a lot. I was on this pick before I saw you took it. Fun stat. Rookie quarterbacks drafted first round overall are 0-14-1 in NFL history. So that doesn't bode well for them. Tennessee losing Derrick Henry in the offseason, they're going to have to figure out how to play offense. That's completely rewriting the script.
Yep.
You got Uncle Rico at quarterback who's just trying to sling the ball over the mountains every play. So I'm with you, man. I think this is going to be a huge win.
Yeah, I just if it was the Bears would be my or the Titans would be my survivor pick this week if it wasn't the Titans.
Yeah.
If it was anyone slightly better than the Titans, I would have a lot of confidence.
I
agree in picking the Titans.
Even after we get 2 games in and figuring out what their offense is going to look like, we're going to have a lot. It's going to be a lot easier time making that pick.
Yep. All right, you have a pick for us in the Cardinals-Bills game, though.
Yeah, I'm taking Arizona plus 7.5. The line's currently at 6.5, but I'm going to give myself a full touchdown here, and you can still get that at minus 134. The Bills are another team that still have a lot to figure out. Their offense is very questionable right now. There's not a ton of studs coming back outside of Dalton Kincaid and James Cook, who, don't get me wrong, they're studs, but you've got nobody on the outside that's going to be a proven wide receiver one. Nobody there even really profiles as a one. Keon Coleman might get there, but even that's kind of a question mark right now based on how he's been in the preseason. Meanwhile, Arizona's coming in and they're pretty talented, man. I feel like Kyler Murray has been underrated his entire career, largely because they just haven't seen a ton of, playoff success as a team. But as a individual player, I think he can put the team on his back and actually stay really close in a lot of good games. Marvin Harrison's got a ton of talent. He's going to take time to get, going, but I think he's coming in as the highest profile receiver we've seen in a hot minute. So I don't think he's going to make an impact immediately. I think it'll take him 6 games to reach his full potential. So with that, I think Arizona stays within a touchdown. I don't think they'll win. I do think Buffalo being at home will win. But I think Arizona can stay within 7.5 with easy.
Yeah, if you're a Bills fan, you can't honestly think that your team is like better than last year
No,
or better than the last 2 years. Like nothing points to that. Nothing points to it.
No, I haven't looked at futures yet, but I'm curious to see what this is for them to win the division.
Yeah, that's a good call because I think the Dolphins might pull that off.
If they can finish the season for a change.
Might pull that off this year. All right, well, we'll stay on the East Coast in New York. I'm going to take Vikings at Giants. I'm going to take the Giants on the money line, so Giants to win straight up, or as I like to spell it on the screen, the Giants. I always like to point out spelling errors as much as I can. I'm going to take the Giants on the money line. I don't really understand, the NFL betting lines, maybe they just know something I don't know, but usually the home team of 2 equal teams, bad or good, goes to the home team, and for some reason Minnesota's favored. I'm like, has Vegas not got the JJ McCarthy news and that Sam Darnold's going to be their quarterback? I don't understand what's happening, and this is a bet against the Vikings, not for the Giants.
Yeah.
At least the Giants have an experienced quarterback in Daniel Jones, so they know what they're going to get and go out there and play probably pretty well, even though they don't have Saquon. Sam Darnold's going to be throwing to Justin Jefferson. I just don't get why the home team's not favored here, and maybe I'm missing something. So I just think the value is really great to get a little better than even money for the Giants to come out and win their home opener. So
I like this a lot as well. I mean, the Giants offensive line was I think it was dead last year. And if you watched Hard Knocks offseason, their whole thing this offseason was to make the offensive line better. But then when ratings came out, they were still ranked 21st. And so, I think it's a combination of that. And Saquon was their entire offense, and they have very unproven receivers as well. But I'm with you. I think this kind of comes down to a game of Daniel Jones versus Sam Darnold. And Daniel Jones, love him or hate him, he's still better than Sam Darnold. So
I don't know if there's a less watchable game on this schedule. I just think the Giants are going to win.
You've got to put money on it just to watch it.
Yeah, we got to have some action on it. But speaking of games you'll be watching, why don't you give us your Falcons pick? I also have a pick for the involving the Falcons. So
yeah, man, I'm going Falcons team total over 20.5 at minus 148. I mentioned earlier, it's a revenge game, but I don't think this is a revenge game of Arthur Smith on the Falcons. I think it's the team on the old coach of kind of saying, hey, you screwed us over and we have a lot to prove still. Last year, the Falcons still averaged 18.9 points per game, and that was with a quarterback that got traded and then immediately cut and is currently unrostered. So you replace that with Kirk Cousins surrounded by Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, and Drake London. And a better than average offensive line. I think it's going to be hard to keep them under 21 points. don't get me wrong. The Steelers, Mike Tomlin, he knows how to coach a team, and he'll coach them up. And even with the worst teams, he finds the way to go 500 every year. So I think it'll be a tough task just from that. But at home, I don't think this is going to be a problem.
Yep, I agree. I think the Falcons are a great pick here. I think the Steelers. Maybe I just have a lot of Russell Wilson hate, but I just think the Steelers are going to be absolute garbage this year. Maybe their defense will hold up, but like I don't see them having a successful year, and it'll be a good home opener for the Falcons. I'm gonna take the Falcons on a parlay. I'm gonna take them to win and the Chargers to win, and that brings it all the way up to plus 175. We already talked about why we think the Falcons will win. Chargers revenge game against the Raiders. I think the last time they played, they lost like 63-20 last year. And Jim Harbaugh is coming in. I think just a really amazing coach who is going to outcoach Pierce. And I was trying to say Antonio Pierce. And I just think the Chargers take this at home on the money line against the Raiders. They're my survivor pick as well. The Raiders are starting Gardner Minshew this week, who was held together by offensive line and defense last year. He doesn't have as much of an offensive line anymore. Pretty decent defense over there in Las Vegas, but I don't know. The Raiders are going to be really bad. The Chargers, if you're going to beat the bad teams in your division, you should beat them at home in your own stadium. So even though the Chargers, I know, don't really have much of a home field advantage, but still.
No, that's fair, man. I mean, Harbaugh's just a better coach, and I think it's that simple.
Yep.
So I don't have any issues there.
They're gonna run all over the Raiders, I think, and then I think Herbert will start to find his receivers for the year, but we will see. Why don't you talk to us about what most people's survivors pick which is the Bengals, but I think you're teasing this down a little bit.
Yeah, I am teasing it down to -6.5. I think this line is currently lower, questioning whether or not Ja'Marr Chase is going to play. I think if it was confirmed that Ja'Marr Chase was playing, this would be higher to like 10. But I think this is the story of you have a really good Bengals team who's projected by some to win the division, and then you have the Patriots who are projected to be in dead last in the league. And so the Pats offensive line is hot garbage. Jacoby Brissett, I kind of wonder if they said, Jacoby Brissett, we're going to name you the starter because we know you're going to get destroyed and we don't want to break our rookie's back.
We don't want to hurt Drake May.
Yeah, exactly. So even without Ja'Marr Chase, Joe Burrow's coming in healthy. They've got a combination of a vet at running back with a young stud looking to prove his name in Chase Brown. And so I just think there's too much talent for this to be, less than a touchdown win here.
Love it. My last pick, then we'll get into some player props, are Rams at the Lions over 51. I just don't think this line can be high enough. Aaron Donald's gone. Take away a big chunk of that Rams defense just with that one name. There goes that. The Lions have insane weapons this year. The Rams have proven us all wrong in that they are back to being at least playoff contenders again. Even though we thought they were kind of done after their Super Bowl, they've shown an ability to draft, and you go get like Puka Nacua and whatnot. So the Rams have the weapons, the Lions have the weapons, and neither of them have like the top defense to slow the other one down. So I just don't think this total can be high enough. So I'm looking forward to the shootout, the Rams Lions shootout. If you're like, I don't like betting overs because you never know, you probably don't like this pick because that's a really high total for the NFL.
Yeah, and I mean, especially with how consistently the unders hit last year. Yep. But I don't hate this, man. Like, Stafford is consistently an underrated quarterback. He doesn't have the arm he used to have. But he can still sling it. Cooper Kupp, I think, is going to be very surprising this year to a lot of people. He's coming back with a full offseason of rest, and I think he's going to be spicy. And then you get Jahmyr Gibbs on the other side. That's just got more talent than he knows what to do with. And I think they're going to slowly start to give him more and more opportunities. So I think it's going to be an offensive game as well. I like it.
Love it. Let's get into some player props. Let's pull these up here. I'm going to start off with Khalil Shakir for the Bills, over 46.5 receiving yards. Stephon Diggs is gone. Yes, the Bills went out and drafted Keon Coleman. But you think in week 1, if Josh Allen is comfortable throwing to any receiver, it's going to be Shakir, with Diggs and Gabe Davis are both gone. So what receiver does he have that he's most comfortable with? It's going to be Shakir. I really like this. Over 46.5 for Shakir. I don't know if this number gets any better throughout the year. I'm sure he gets more comfortable with Coleman, but I doubt you see a rookie coming out and having a big game. I think he'll use Shakir mostly here. Then I also have Caleb Williams over half an interception. So give me that. We already talked.
I love it.
Yeah, we already talked about him struggling in his first game. If Mike Vrabel can do anything with the Titans, he can coach defense. So, he's going to be under pressure. He's going to make some mistakes trying to throw sidearm in behind the. My problem with Caleb Williams, which we hinted at, is like he already thinks he's Patrick Mahomes, and like I think that's a real problem because he is absolutely not Patrick Mahomes yet. So I think he's going to have to, eat some crow here and throw an interception in his first game. Then we take my boy.
There is a quarterback who, before he's drafted, is saying he's only going to go to a team if they give him an ownership stake in it.
Dude,
you're kind of guaranteed to suck for a little while. I feel like once you get to the NFL. And then even like the locker room conversations that are coming out about him telling the vets they need to clean the rookie room, and they said, "Screw you, dude. You're the rookie. If you want it clean, you do it." So I think it's going to take a while.
Yeah, he is an interesting personality to have in that locker room, and I'm starting to doubt his long-term viability, but maybe the talent's so there that I'm sure he'll come around.
Yeah.
But anyways, I got Bo Nix, my guy, over 203.5 passing yards. If we saw anything in the as maybe the only person who watched every Broncos preseason game in this entire country, we saw him dink and dunk and complete medium passes all the way down the field. And I just think he's going to keep doing that. 200 yards. 200 yards seems great against the Seahawks team. I'm fine with this. I think Sean Payton, he's not going to let him go sling it around, but 203 yards is a low number, man. I think Bo Nix dinks and dunks his way over 203.5 passing yards pretty easily in his first game based on what we saw in the preseason anyways. So
I like this a lot too, man. The Seahawks, they had one of the slowest pace of plays last year. Now they're going to have one of the fastest pace of plays, which is just going to put the ball back in Bo Nix's hands even more. So I'm with you.
Whether they're winning or not, whether the Broncos are winning or not, he's going to have it in his hands.
Exactly. And I think this is a great play.
Awesome. Why don't you take us through your player props?
Yeah, I'm taking Austin Eckler over 2.5 receptions. I know he's on a new team, but he hit this in most of his games last year. And then he's kind of coming. They brought him in to take over the Antonio Gibson role, who hit this in over 75% of his games last year. He's had 5 targets per game throughout the last 2 years. And as a rookie quarterback, you look at Stroud and Young last year, their first games, they targeted their rookie or their running backs 7 and 8 times respectively. So the rookie quarterbacks like to target their running backs in the first game as they get comfortable figuring out the new speed. So I like this a lot. I also like Justin Jefferson over 80 yards. We talked a little bit earlier about how it's the battle of the quarterbacks. But, man, I went back and looked. Justin Jefferson hit this number 3 out of 4 games without Kirk Cousins last year when taking more than 20% of snaps, meaning when he wasn't injured. Say what you want about Sam Darnold. He's not going to be great, but their offense is going to revolve around Justin Jefferson no matter what. So I think he's hyper-targeted. I think the question with Justin Jefferson this year is more about how many touchdowns he scores and less about how many yards and targets he hits. Yeah. So I'll take this every game this year if it continues to pop up.
I love that. Yeah, I think Justin Jefferson is the offense of Minnesota, so he's going to be like high volume, high yards for sure.
Yep. Yeah, no question. Derrick Henry anytime touchdown at -120. Derrick Henry has played the Chiefs 7 times in his career, and he scored a touchdown in 6 of them. And Gus Edwards and Justice Hill had 41 carries inside the 5 last year. So I think you kind of put him in that Ravens offense with his talent. I think this is a no-brainer. Anytime they get in the red zone, it's just going to be a Derrick Henry machine. And,
dude, this Derrick Henry acquisition, like, I think, like, you see the Bills getting worse, and I think the Ravens this might get them like over the hump in some aspects. Like, I think this is Derrick Henry's like last great season with the offense that he's going to be in. And I think that like this might be like one of those, they added like the right piece to like get them there, that Lamar Jackson needs to be able to, not be the main threat by himself. Like, they're going to hand it to Derrick Henry. It's going to be an awesome season for Derrick Henry.
Yeah, man. And especially once they get to like the back half of the season, if Keaton Mitchell can come back as explosive as he was when he first started, when you have like the mean machine that Derrick Henry is paired with Keaton Mitchell as explosive and quick and fast as he is, like that's just such a powerful combination. So if Henry can stay healthy, if he can actually transfer offense as well, I think he's going to absolutely eat this year. And then similar to your Shakir pick, I'm taking James Cook over 2.5 receptions. Once they changed offensive coordinators last year, once Joe Brady took over, James Cook hit this in 5 of 8 games. You add that to the fact that they vacated 317 targets from last year. That's a lot of passes that have to go to a lot of different hands. It's 58% of their total targets that from last year are completely gone. So I think Shakir gets a lot. I think James Cook will get 6, 7, 8 targets this game until Josh Allen figure out who he really loves on the outside. But I think this is another easy one.
Yeah, if it wasn't against the Cardinals, we would go back to we have a pretty much a weekly standing Josh Allen to throw an interception pick on this show. But I think maybe because it's a bad team, we're not gonna do it this week. But I do think he will rely on kind of the guys who stuck around at least for week 1.
Yeah, agreed.
At least for week 1. I'm sure he'll evolve as the season goes. But this is the part of the show where we run our picks down. If you fast forwarded to the end and didn't want to hear us talk, you made it. Here we are. We're going to go ahead and give our NFL game picks, followed by our player props. I got the Titans and Bears under 45, Vikings at Giants, Giants on the money line, Falcons on the money line, and Chargers on the money line for a parlay to get you to plus 175. And my last pick for the games is Rams at Lions over 51.
Yeah, I love it. I've got Packers at Eagles, game total under 49. Cardinals at Bills, give me Bills plus 7.5. Cardinals plus 7.5, excuse me. Falcons team total over 20.5. Patriots at the Bengals, give me Bengals minus 6.5.
Awesome. And for player props, I have Khalil Shakir over 46.5 receiving yards, Caleb Williams to throw an interception, and Bo Nix over 203.5 passing yards.
And I've got Austin Eckler over 2.5 receptions, Justin Jefferson over 80 yards, Derrick Henry anytime touchdown, and James Cook over 2.5 receptions.
Awesome. That's it. We will see y'all for week 2. We should be coming back with some college DFS for everyone. Go check out the college week 1 picks as well. And let's go make some money this weekend.
College week 2.